Hello, everybody, and welcome to Non Sequitur News. It's a time machine episode for May 7th, 2025, Season 4, Episode 127. Today, we're going to be talking about, or I am Merawat. I run ohmtown.com, and along with the sentient AI, who's not available today because the quantum mechanics here doesn't allow for the sentient AI to travel every time, apparently. Anyway, we're going to be talking about the old Reddit, the EcoFlow solar power plant, the Activision Blizzard deal, hypersonic rocket plane, a hazardous airport in Wyoming, Manhattan to JFK in 5 minutes or less, mysterious cosmic origins of gold, stealing beer and biting officers, and finally, setting the foundation. That, and a little bit of snark. It's a time machine episode, so I've got about an hour, but I'll usually get it done in about 30 minutes. If I go beyond that time, then I'm stuck in the past. Yeah, there's some more canon there, but you're going to have to go back and listen to all 2,200 episodes of the show. Hello. Welcome back. Again, I am Merawat, and I run ohmtown.com. I use it for my information overload. You can too now. It's been available since 2022. All kinds of articles get sorted into 6 main categories and 50 channels inside that. So go over and check it out. Anyway, the very first article is talking about Reddit. Reddit will keep old Reddit online as long as people are using it. I am one of the many that use old Reddit. It's faster, cleaner for me. So old Reddit's layout sometimes look a bit outdated, but I don't think that's really outdated. I think that's efficient and effective. It's the minimum viable product for Reddit, but it's beloved by many a Reddit user, including the author of this article, which is over at The Verge. It's not me. I'm just reading their little snippet that they provide. They've worried for some time that Reddit would eventually pull the plug on it in favor of the newer and more modern interface, which I think is just bleh. Anyway, but based on a recent post from Reddit CEO Steve Huffman, it doesn't look like that's going to happen anytime soon. As part of a larger post on Monday about Reddit's next chapter, they saw via TechCrunch, Huffman, who goes by Spaz, who it says snuck in what looked like heart-stopping news for us old heads. I guess they're referring to themselves right at the end. Is this the Joker that edited a Redditor's post and it didn't flag it as being edited, and it didn't show that it was edited by the CEO? I think that's who, Anyway, the article that we're talking about is over at The Verge. Jay Peters put the article together today. It says, as the deck statement, sounds like old Reddit is going to stick around, and I hope so. As part of a larger post, it says sunsetting old.reddit. Old.reddit is a version of Reddit that they built back in the late or mid 2000s. Huffman said it doesn't scale, it's impossible to develop on, and it's ugly AF. They're wrong. It's efficient and effective for those of us who don't need all glamorous bullshit. So whatever. It says, we will be shutting it down at the end of the month, but apparently that was just a joke, a bold move given outcry to other Reddit-related shutdowns. Just kidding, he said. I don't know why I say stuff like that. I know why. We'll figure out how to work around it and keep it online as long as people are using it. So Huffman acknowledged that unwelcome AI in communities is a serious concern, and it's the worry that he fears most from users and mods, but he believes that Reddit works because it's human, and said that our focus is and always will be on keeping Reddit a valuable asset to gather up information and sell to the AI gods that be even on the free benefit of being a mod. So yeah, it is human because it's powered by humans entirely. So Reddit's going to ask for a bit more identifying information from its users too. According to the description that's listed here, it says to keep Reddit human and to meet evolving regulatory requirements, we're going to need a little more information. Specifically, we'll need to know whether you're a human, and in some locations, if you're an adult. But we never want to know your name or who you are. The way we will do this is by working with various third-party services that can provide us with the essential information and nothing else. No solution is perfect, including the status quo, but we will do our best to preserve both the humanness and anonymity of Reddit. Yeah, this isn't dystopian in the slightest. Let's keep moving. The next article is over in Non-Sequitur News. EcoFlow brings us plug-in solar power to U.S. homes, but here's the problem. It's not in every home, and it's not in every state. In fact, it's only going to be in Ohio, Utah. So the U.S. is finally getting a version of EcoFlow's DIY balcony solar system that they reviewed in Europe last year. This is over at The Verge as well. EcoFlow says that its Stream series will be the first plug-in solar products that go on sale domestically. I just bought an Anchor, it's a bank, basically a big battery bank that plugs into a solar array if you have it. If I would have known about this, where I could actually plug it back into my own grid, then I would probably have bought the EcoFlow. But unfortunately, it's only going to go on sale in Utah, which recently approved balcony solar systems that plug directly into 120-volt wall outlets. That's right. You basically plug this little box into your outlet, and it can invert back into the grid, essentially, and power your house right there. You don't have to do anything much else, really, at least as far as I can tell. But they're only going to be in Utah. EcoFlow tells the author here, Thomas Ricker, over at TheVerge.com, that unfortunately it has to go on sale. Only in Utah, because the National Electrical Code, or a tailored product safety standard from Underwriters Laboratories, as some have interpreted, is the only way that you can get it certified. But according to the way that EcoFlow has described it to The Verge, they have interpreted it a different way. So balcony solar systems have already seen widespread adoption throughout Europe, where millions have been safely installed. So now it's coming to the United States just in time for tariffs. EcoFlow's Stream Ultra combines a built-in grid-tied microinverter with a reasonably large, they say, 1.92 kilowatt-hour capacity LiFePro. The LFP battery is a different chemistry than lithium ion. So the LiFePro batteries don't cascade at the level that lithium ion batteries do. So it can be installed inside a house or outside because it's self-heated to remain operational in temperatures as low as negative 20 degrees Celsius or negative 4 degrees Fahrenheit, with IP65 rated resistance to dust and rain. And it can be expanded to 11.52 kilowatt hours by adding additional battery-only Ultra units. You can also buy the Stream micro inverter separately if you already own a compatible EcoFlow power station. And I think the Anchor system has the same thing. And I would love to do this. I would love to put a solar array up on the north 40 acres of the mayoral mansion estate and basically disconnect from the grid. And we actually have a micro farm in the basement of the mayoral mansion. 6 tiny, well, right now it's 6. It's going to expand to 9 microgreen bays, little tiny bays that allow me to grow microgreens. Anyway, let's keep on going. I think this is the future, by the way. Solar panels and basically battery packs like the EcoFlow or Anchor and others. There are many others out there. Anyway, the next article is over in Hatchet is Microsoft wins appeal in FTC challenge to $69 billion Activision Blizzard deal. The federal appeals court on Wednesday rejected a legal challenge by the FTC to Microsoft's $69 billion purchase of Call of Duty maker Activision Blizzard. So, appeal away. The three-judge panel unanimously ruled that the lower judge had applied the correct legal standards and that the FTC had not shown it is likely to succeed on its claims that the merger would restrict competition. A spokesperson for the FTC declined to comment. Microsoft did not immediately respond for comment either. The decision came in an antitrust lawsuit filed by the Federal Trade Commission in 2022 against Xbox maker Microsoft. The FTC, which enforces antitrust law, which is, let's be real, it's going to be hobbled here for the foreseeable future. That proceeding separately challenged the merger in an internal administrative action. That proceeding was placed on hold in 2023 during the previous administration, pending the Ninth Circuit decision. Well, the Activision Blizzard transaction marked the largest ever acquisition in video gaming market. The deal closed in late 2023 after competition authorities in the UK approved it, and the purchase also faced regulatory scrutiny in other international markets. So just the way that I see all of this is, as mergers and acquisitions take place, competition is phased out entirely, and you basically have a few dictating to the many. And there's no other pressure because there isn't anybody that can remotely get big enough to foment any type of competition against a borderline $1 trillion in just recent acquisitions of value. I mean, it's ridiculous how big the companies are that people would have to go up against to try and compete. It's just not going to happen. I wish you all luck, but no. Because once you start getting big enough, the suitors come and say, hey, how about we just give you, $20 billion? Now, why do you think Minecraft just disappeared as an independent development? It's because somebody showed up and said, here's $1 billion. I'm going to turn you into a billionaire right now. Oh, okay. Because they saw the writing on the wall. They phased out anything, and I'm sure that they've made their money back hand over fist. Anyway, let's move on. The next article is over in Reality Hacker. This U.S. company just successfully tested a reusable hypersonic rocket plane. Stratolaunch completed 2 flights of its autonomous Talon A2 rocket plane earlier this year in the U.S. To gain ground in its race for hypersonic supremacy with China. The article is over at Wired, and that's what it looks like. Twice in the past 5 months, the company launched a hypersonic vehicle over the Pacific Ocean, accelerated it to more than 5 times the speed of sound, and autonomously landed it in Vandenberg Space Force Base in California. And it used the same vehicle for both flights. This is the first time anyone in the United States has flown a reusable hypersonic rocket plane since the last flight of the X-15, the iconic rocket-powered aircraft that pushed the envelope. Stratolaunch announced the results of its 2 most recent flights on Monday. In December, and again in March, Stratolaunch's Talon A2 rocket plane launched from the belly of an enormous carrier craft over the Pacific Ocean. And it flew to several hundred miles to Vandenberg, a military spaceport about 140 miles northwest of Los Angeles. Oh boy. So Mach 5 or bust is what it says, but this is a conventional, in terms of physics, kind of piece of tech. It's a rocket plane, just very rigid, enough to handle, Mach 5. Demonstrating the reuse of fully recoverable hypersonic test vehicles is an important milestone for Mach TB, said George Rumford, director of the Test Resource Management Center, in a statement. Lessons learned from this test campaign will help us reduce vehicle turnaround time from months down to weeks. We cannot disclose the nature of the payloads other than to say typical materials, instrumentation, sensors, etc. The customers were thrilled with their ability to recover the payloads shortly after landing. So, yay. Stratolaunch completed the first powered flight of a Talon A vehicle last year when the rocket plane launched over the Pacific Ocean and fired its liquid-fueled Hadley engine produced by Ursa Major for about 200 seconds. The Talon A vehicle accelerated to just shy of hypersonic speed, then fell into the sea as planned and was not recovered. Somebody has to go and recover that thing. Anyway, so why is it so important? Because China. Hypersonic flight is an unforgiving environment. Temperatures outside the Talon A vehicle can reach up to 2,000 degrees Fahrenheit or 1,100 degrees C. As the plane plows through air molecules, Crever said. He declined to disclose the duration, top speed, maximum altitude of the December and March test flights, but said that the rocket plane performed a series of high G maneuvers on the journey from its drop location to Vandenberg. There are two things that you should know about hypersonic missiles. First, rockets have flown at hypersonic speeds since 1949. Second, hypersonic vehicles come in a couple of variations. One is a glide vehicle, which is accelerated by a conventional rocket to hypersonic speeds, then steers itself towards a destination or target using aerodynamic forces. And the other is a cruiser that can sustain itself at hypersonic flight using exotic propulsion, such as scramjet. Let's keep going. The next article is over in the Marble Channel. Threatened birds are trying to mate near a hazardous airport in Wyoming. Hazardous airport? Why did they phrase it like that? Can paper mache, or in the words of Seinfeld, I can't remember the person's name. I remember her voice, though. Papier mache. Decoys lure them to safety. At Grand Teton National Park, officials have placed handmade lookalikes in a field south of the runway to encourage greater sage grouse to relocate. Get the hell off our lawn. Sarah Kuda over at Smithsonian Magazine or smithsonianmag.com put the article together. Every spring, amorous male greater sage grouse strut their stuff in western North America. These chunky round birds put on an eye-catching show to impress any nearby females. Hey, how you doing? They inflate their bright yellow air sacs on their chests, fan out their tails, thrust their heads, and make burbling noises. I did the exact same thing, and I was asked not to return to the grocery store. Look, I was just trying to meet somebody. Anyway, can paper mache save lives? Reads the Post. We're about to find out, hopefully. So yeah, the Jackson Hole Airport is located within Grand Teton National Park. So wild animals are regular visitors, along with adventurous vacationers who come to ski, hike, soak up Old West culture. In a bid to improve safety for wildlife and humans, National Park Service developed a wildlife hazard management plan consisting of a bunch of stuff, but apparently one of them is plopping down these oh, it's Old West world for birds. Oh gosh, funny. Now the Park Service must wait and see whether the paper mache lookalikes fool the real greater sage grouse. Hey, you got to go over and check out the rest of this article. There's much more, but I never tell the whole story. I just tell something interesting that we think that you might enjoy. So go over and check it out over at smithsonianmag.com. Okay, the next article is a $195 helicopter. No, it's got to be a flight. Can this $195 helicopter get you from Manhattan to JFK in 5 minutes or less? What if you could fly to the airport instead of being stuck in traffic? Senior producer Jackie Zara tested out Blade, not the vampire hunter. A helicopter commuting service that flies passengers from the Hudson River to JFK International Airport to see if it's worth the high price. $195 is nothing if, whatever. You don't want to sit in traffic. You don't have to pay for the whatever, I would pay it. Oh, there isn't much there. Jeepers. Anyway, can this helicopter get you from Manhattan to JFK in 5 minutes as Jackie Barrel? Barile. Jackie Barrel. Yes. Yeah. Yeah, I would say that it can get you there, but you have to still get to it, and it has to take off, and it has to go from there to there and land, and then you have to get off of that, and it turns what could be a 5-minute trip into an hours long interaction. So, oh yeah, but see, they go over this thing. You still have to go through the whole boarding and blah 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 process to some degree. So it's not 5 minutes, maybe 5 minutes in the air once it's already in the air. All right, let's keep going. The next article is over on the Mobile Channel. Astronauts, I'm an idiot. Astrophysicists track down the mysterious cosmic origins of gold and other heavy metals in our galaxy. Researchers suggest that powerful bursts from magnetars. You're a magnetar. Collapsed stars with strong magnetic fields may have contributed to up to 10% of all elements heavier than iron in the Milky Way. Margarita Bossi over at SmithsonianMag.com or Smithsonian Magazine put the article together, and these magnetars, largely a mystery, don't know what they really are and what they're really adding to the equation of our elemental materials here on Earth. But they say here, while iron is known to form in the fiery cores of stars, I don't know how they know this, but okay. Physicists are still chasing down the sources of heavier elements, such as gold. It says it's a pretty fundamental question in terms of the origin of complex matter in the universe, says Anirudh Patel, a theoretical physicist at Columbia University, says in a NASA statement. It's a fun puzzle that hasn't actually been solved. Now, in a study published last week in the Astrophysical Journal Letters, Patel and his colleagues suggest a possible source of up to 10% of all elements heavier than iron in our galaxy: giant flares launched by magnetars. Yeah, okay. They're neutron stars, highly dense, collapsed cores of exploded stars with powerful magnetic fields. Sometimes the motion of the magnetar's interior leads pressure to build up on its surface, which ultimately unleashes an energy starquake. These chaotic events can include strong and rare bursts of radiation called magnetar giant flares. It's kind of in the name, isn't it? Scientists have documented only 3 magnetar giant flares in our galaxy and its vicinity, and they've seen just 7 beyond it. So if you think about the basic ingredients of what everything's made of, it's just neutrons, protons, electrons. Patel, who is the lead author, says the question is, how does nature forge these basic building blocks into the complex matter that we see all around us? The trouble with neutron star mergers is that they occur relatively late in the history of our galaxy. So some of the study's authors had previously suggested that magnetar giant flares could be the mysterious other origin, but they needed direct evidence. So for the paper, the team investigated records of a massive magnetar giant flare that was observed in 2004, and they predicted the potential gamma ray signal that would have been emitted if elements from the flare had decayed into heavy metals. Then, while analyzing the gamma ray data from the NASA and ESA, they came across a previously unexplained smaller signal. The researchers were surprised to see that the smaller gamma ray signal matched their predictions of what a heavy element creating magnetar giant flare would look like. So because they stumbled across another one, funny that they stumbled across it though. So there you go. Giant magnetar flares are the cause of all our gold worship. So the next article is over in Law Nerd. Lawyer charged with stealing beer and trying to bite officer. A lawyer in Albany. You know what? Being a lawyer is a dog eat dog. Beer drink beer. Beer drink bite officer. Rock paper lizard Spock. Beer bite. Oh, and officer. Okay, a lawyer in Albany, New York, was accused Friday of violating an order of protection. Oh my God. Okay, let's just go over to the source because this is going a little crazy. Deborah Cassens-Weiss over at abajournal.com put the article together. A lawyer in Albany, New York, was accused Friday of violating an order of protection, hitting a woman, stealing beer, and trying to bite an officer. The lawyer, from New York was charged in a 21 count indictment. Wow. Pleaded not guilty to the charges. They have handled a number of high profile cases and sometimes you just drink too much. The indictment alleges that the attorney stole beer from a market in December 2024, tried to bite an officer during his arrest. He also was accused of violating a family court order of protection last summer, striking a female acquaintance in April, and trying to steal the woman's property. Whew. That's all there is to this. Deborah Kassens-Weiss must have been looking straight at a magnetar giant flare for this gold. All right. The next article is over in non-sequitur news. Apple's sci-fi epic foundation is back for season 3. Yay! I am so happy. I dig that show. One of Apple's biggest series will start streaming again this summer. The company announced that season 3 Foundation will hit Apple TV Plus on July 11th. With new episodes weekly through September 12th. As part of the announcement, Apple will also release the first teaser of the 3rd season. The show originally premiered in 2021 and is an adaptation of Isaac Asimov's classic series of sci-fi novels, which span multiple centuries and follow the rise and fall of an empire and a group intent on saving civilization in the aftermath. Pretty damn cool. So it's over in TheVerge.com. Andrew Webster put the article together. There's more to this, but I'm not going to really go through all of it. The new episodes will jump forward more than a century from the events of season 2, which streamed in 2023. The logline says, set 152 years after the events of season 2, the Foundation has become increasingly established far beyond its humble beginnings, while the Cleonic dynasty's empire has dwindled. As both of these galactic powers forge an uneasy alliance, a threat to the entire galaxy appears in the fearsome form of a warlord known as the Mule, whose sights are set on ruling the universe by a use of physical and military force as well as mind control. It's anyone's guess who will win, who will lose, who will live, and who will die, as Harry Seldon, Gail Dornick, the Cleons, and Demerzel play a potentially deadly game of intergalactic chess. Dun dun. Not done. We're moving on to the last article where Hornets are apparently now allergic to the aircraft carriers that carry them. A U.S. Navy aircraft carrier in the Red Sea lost a third Super Hornet. $60 million jet went overboard on landing. I don't know exactly what happened with this one. The last one, I was joking when I said probably just did a left-hand turn and the boat or the jet just fell overboard. But that's exactly what happened, apparently. It did a hard tack and flung a $60 million piece of military equipment overboard. So another FA-18 Super Hornet fighter jet fell off the aircraft carrier USS Harry S. Truman and into the Red Sea on Tuesday. It's the second fighter jet loss from the Truman in a little over a week and the third of the carrier's deployment. Super Hornets cost about $60 million a piece. Oh boy. So Navy aircraft carriers have catapults for launch and arresting gear for recovery. The thick cables help aircraft carriers decelerate planes when they land, or the catapults are steam powered and launch them off of the deck. While it's unclear what exactly failed during Tuesday's recovery, aviators were evaluated by medical personnel and assessed to have minor injuries. No deck personnel were injured. But that's really the nuts and bolts of this article. A sailor who jumped from the cockpit just before the fighter jet went overboard was lightly hurt. Oh my gosh, I didn't know that there was somebody actually. So anyway, the whole point of this is like, why? How? This is the third time that something like this has happened. But they also talk about the USS Gettysburg and other things in this article. But won't go into that. You can go over to Business Insider, where Jake Epstein put this article together. A U.S. Navy aircraft carrier in the Red Sea fight just lost a third Super Hornet. The $60 million jet went overboard on landing. And we are going to take off from here, and we're going to land right back at the front page of ohmTown, where you should go and become a citizen. This has been a Time Machine episode, so if you're hearing my voice, hello from the future's past.